Did we have any indication that this man was capable of stabbing my mother, tying Louise up, raping Louise, shooting Louise, and shooting Hannah?
Take a close look at the man walking in this video. He steps out of a family home just moments after 3 women were attacked inside. His pace is fast, controlled, like he's on a schedule. In the next seconds, he gets into his car and leaves this quiet street behind, leaving a mother and her 2 daughters dying inside. Inside that home, something far more powerful than a call for help is happening. The silence of 3 women fighting for their last breaths. Their family will never hear their voices again. The man in this footage is Kyle Clifford, and what you're about to hear is how a 2-week plan for revenge became one of the most disturbing family murders Britain has seen in years. Stay with me, because the truth behind this video is even darker than what you're seeing. Welcome to True Crime Story Videos. Every face you'll see here once had dreams, laughter, and people who loved them, but somewhere along the way, their stories went silent. I'm Detective Daniel, and here we give those stories a voice again. Before we begin, take a moment, tell me your name and where you're watching from.
His actions, there were so many opportunities to step away from what he's doing, but he had a plan from the very outset that included the pretense to get into the house.
On July 9th, 2024, just after 3:30 in the afternoon, Kyle Clifford rushes out of the house, fast, uneven steps, like he's trying to get away from something he doesn't want anyone to see. His hands are tight around an object he tries to hide against his body. There's panic in the way he moves, but also purpose. He doesn't speak, he doesn't hesitate. He just gets in, slams the door, and pulls away from the curb like he's escaping a fire. The real question is, what was he running from? What happened inside that home? Detectives would later trace this case back to one moment, the breakup. When Louise ended the relationship, the shift in Kyle Clifford wasn't emotional. It was calculated, because almost immediately, he began to plan. 2 weeks before the murders, digital records show the first signs of preparation. Searches for tools, searches for weapons, searches for how to get inside a house without raising suspicion. He wasn't acting in anger, he was building a checklist. Hardware store receipts show rope, a petrol can. Online orders reveal a hunting crossbow, powerful enough to pierce metal, and a butcher knife delivered straight to his gym. Security footage captures him picking up the Amazon package. No reaction, no hesitation, just another item in the plan. Every purchase had a purpose, and every step moved him closer to the moment you saw in that first video. This wasn't a sudden outburst. It was a 2-week blueprint for destruction. This is the part of the story that detectives said hurt the most, because it proved this wasn't a moment of rage. It was a plan. He's running the line between his fingers, slow and deliberate, not wondering what he's doing, but confirming it. He knew exactly why he needed it, and exactly who it was meant for. Another clip shows a petrol can lifted off a store shelf. No look of doubt, no hesitation, just a man collecting the tools for something no one could imagine. Every item was a decision. Every decision had a purpose. Then the most disturbing footage, his car's dashboard camera, days before the attack, recording him circling the Hunt family home, slowly, studying it from every angle. He didn't drive past to clear his head. He drove past to make sure nothing would stop him. Investigators later summed up the footage with a single line that still chills them. He didn't snap, he prepared. And once you see the full plan, you understand he was never looking for a way out. He was looking for a way in.
You just killed 3 people and you stroll away like you're going down the shops. It wasn't a crime of passion. It wasn't a loss of control. You didn't go to the address and all of a sudden form this intent to kill Carol, kill Louise, kill Hannah. You'd gone there with that sole intention in mind. You went there, the CCTV footage shows throughout that you are cool, you're calm, you're collected, you're considered. There is nothing about that which suggests that you've gone there for anything else than to kill almost an entire family.
Just after lunch, he comes back to the house, but this time, he doesn't circle the street. He walks straight to the door. He's holding a bag. Inside are Louise's clothes, the perfect excuse to stand on that doorstep without raising an alarm. He tells the family he's only here to return a few things, nothing more. And in a moment that will haunt this investigation forever, Louise's mother opens the door. She thinks she's letting in someone her daughter once cared about, not someone who has spent 2 weeks preparing for this moment. He steps inside. The door closes behind them. What happens next is the reason detectives say this case still keeps them up at night, because once he crossed that threshold, the plan he built finally had a place to unfold.
He never once hit her. He was in the house an awful lot in that 18 months and never heard raised voices once. There were no obvious alarms that were ever rung.
A short time after he enters the house, Louise walks in. She has no idea what's waiting for her. She steps through the doorway like it's any ordinary day, not knowing the man she once trusted is already inside, already in control, already set on carrying out the plan he spent 2 weeks building. Within minutes, he overpowers her. The rope he bought days earlier is now in his hands. He uses it exactly the way investigators feared he would. Louise is tied, restrained and held against her will. Time passes, slowly, painfully. What happens during those 2 hours is something the court later described as deliberate, prolonged, and driven by pure cruelty. She is assaulted. She is terrorized. She is fighting for her life, alone inside her own home. Then comes the moment detectives struggled to describe without pausing. He loads the crossbow he purchased, raises it, and fires, a long hollow beat of silence. By the time those 2 hours end, Louise is gone. Hannah arrives at the house a short time later, completely unaware of the horror unfolding inside. She steps into the hallway expecting a normal afternoon, but within seconds, she realizes something is terribly wrong. She doesn't see everything. She doesn't need to. The danger is obvious the moment she walks in. Her hands shake as she pulls out her phone. She sends one word to her boyfriend, "Help." She tries to call 911 next. A desperate attempt to bring someone, anyone, to the home where her family is being torn apart. That call never has the chance to save her. Before she can finish speaking, before officers can be dispatched, Hannah is attacked. A beat of silence. By the time police reach the house, Hannah's final message is still glowing on her screen. Minutes later, another camera captures the part of this story that still stuns investigators. His car appears on dashcam, rolling out of the driveway with steady, deliberate movement, as if he's leaving a routine visit, not the scene of unimaginable violence. There is no rush, no panic, no sign of the devastation behind him. The car turns toward the main road, heads north, and begins the drive back to the part of London where he lives. And as he pulls away, 3 women lie inside that home, a mother, 2 daughters, none of them able to speak for themselves anymore. The road stretches ahead of him. The street behind goes silent. He leaves without looking back. Within hours, police launch one of the most intense searches the region has seen in years. Patrol cars sweep through neighborhoods. Helicopters circle overhead. Officers move door to door, hunting for any sign of the man who left 3 women dying inside their family home. Every minute matters. Every lead is chased. Then, late into the search, a call comes in. A man has been found in a cemetery on the outskirts of North London. It's him. Officers reach the scene and discover Kyle Clifford collapsed near the headstones, suffering from a self-inflicted crossbow injury. Barely conscious, barely able to speak. Doctors fight to save his life, and they do. But when he wakes up, the outcome is clear. The injury has left him permanently paralyzed. And even then, he refuses to answer a single question about what happened inside that house. A long, uneasy beat. The manhunt is over. But the investigation is just beginning. As detectives pieced together Kyle Clifford's background, they began looking beyond the crime scene and into the environment he came from. They reviewed past records, old police files, and prior incidents connected to his family. What they found didn't explain the murders, but it did reveal a troubling pattern. Investigators discovered that violence wasn't new in the household he grew up in. There had been a previous, serious case involving a close family member, a case that ended in tragedy, a case that resulted in a prison sentence, a case that raised questions about what Clifford had witnessed long before this day. It wasn't proof, but it was context,
A reminder that the path to this crime may have started long before the attack itself. A brief, heavy pause, and for detectives, it was one more piece of a story that kept getting darker. When this case finally reached court, the weight of what happened followed everyone inside. In the front row sat the surviving members of the Hunt family, faces drained, eyes fixed forward, holding on to one another because there was nothing else left to hold on to. No words can prepare a family to hear the details of how their loved ones were taken. The courtroom stayed silent as the judge began to recount the events step by step, not for shock, not for drama, but because justice required the truth to be spoken out loud. Every choice, every tool, every moment of cruelty. He described the planning, the manipulation, the captivity, and the deliberate violence that ended the lives of Carol, Hannah, and Louise. The judge's voice never changed, but every sentence felt heavier than the one before it. The family listened because they had to, because these were the last moments of their loved ones' lives, spoken in the only place left to speak them. For the court, it was evidence. For the family, it was agony. Then came the sentencing, a whole life order, no release, no second chance. The legal system's strongest response to one of the most calculated crimes it had seen in years. But even that brought no sense of relief inside the courtroom. No sentence can return a mother. No punishment can restore two daughters. The empty seats in that family will stay empty forever. Outside the courthouse, the community gathered in silence. Some held flowers, some held hands, others simply stood still, searching for any way to make sense of something senseless. Memorial photos of Carol, Hannah, and Louise were placed along the pavement, smiling faces, bright lives, suddenly reduced to headlines and courtroom transcripts. Their story didn't end because of who they were. It ended because of what was done to them. In the days after sentencing, detectives closed their files. Reporters moved on to new stories. But for the Hunt family, the aftermath was only beginning. Birthdays passed with empty chairs. Holidays became reminders instead of celebrations. And every quiet night carried the same unanswered question. Why? A long, haunting pause.